Hello, I am Will, the Nerdy Nerf Herder. Thank you for joining me for my initial stream. For people joining me on this journey, I want to thank you for coming here. Um, this is our first attempt at this, so please bear with me, be kind, and if you speak up in the chat, I will do my best to get to you. And welcome, everyone. I'm Will, the Nerdy Nerf Herder, and tonight we are going to be playing Pokopia. Um, but before we jump into that, just a little bit about me. I am a dad, so this is one of the things that I do to unwind after I send my kids to bed is play video games. And I thought it would be nice to kind of share my builds here in Pokopia and possibly my farms in Stardew Valley. And depending on what the chat says and what my video game library looks like, maybe explore that together. Um, I know there are a lot of fun and exciting games coming out for Switch 2 over the next couple of years, so I look forward to playing Pokemon Wind and Waves when that comes out. So you can definitely expect me to stream some of that playthrough as I start that. Maybe do a Nuzlocke or a Shiny Run. Um, but without further ado, let's go ahead and get on into our gameplay. Give me one moment here while we wake up Ditto. Alrighty. We're going to start things off here in my pallet town. This has been the main area in Pokopia that I have put my attention in. When I first started off, we needed a house, so this was my initial home. And now it's kind of become home to some of my go-to people. I had to put Mew in there with me when I first was living here, so getting Mew was exciting, and I've got Munchlax over here in the corner. Fairly simple build, nothing too exciting here. This was done when I was still kind of playing out and gaining access to recipes and the like. I also built a hot springs bath here. Pokemon will come all over Pallet Town to come in here. This also happens to be Greninja and Vaporeon home for now. I plan on reassigning them to a water area later. I did some prefabs here to get some of my Pokemon with litter in there and make it a little easier to pick up. Haven't done much in the way of decorating with the prefabs here. I did take the time to dye them, obviously. Put my fossil Pokemon in here, which is handy because this is my Berry Crush box. Decided to do a little park build on the theory I'm making a little neighborhood here. Excuse me. I do need to add some meals to those picnic baskets so that the Pokemon will actually use them. So one thing about my pallet town is I started off using electricity absolutely everywhere. Burying wireless power boxes and putting those in there. Thank you, Grog Smash. I appreciate it. I've put a lot of effort in trying to make this place look almost cozy. Like a neighborhood that you would want to live in. Full of natural life. Over here we've got our legendary structures as well as a couple fountain areas that I built up. And this was all where I first started in Pallet Town. As I started building. Over here we've got our beachfront property little cafe. Empoleon will use it for trading when he spawns in. It keeps my amp Pokemon right here, so that way I can toss down a cooking pot and throw a party here. Everywhere in my village where there are Pokemon, there is pathing connecting or lifts, so they are able to move around everywhere freely. It's a little life tower that I built. But I threw electricity everywhere, not realizing that there were generator limits or limits on the number of electronics that you could put on one map at one given time. So this first area has a lot of electrical items, while the next area that I'll be showing off will not have very many. I just want to give people a heads up in case you're playing the game and you haven't hit those limits. There are limits. So right here we have a little beach changing area. I wanted to try to make things realistic, so I tried to include a handy-capable option. And then we have over here these, which I put little raised sections of bridge walkway here to kind of mimic, like, hey, maybe the sand was meant to be washed off your feet and dumped on the ground underneath. So we'll head this way as we work our way back around. I hope everybody's doing well tonight. So I decided to start this channel because I have a love of gaming. I have been an avid Pokemon fan for a long time, and I was showing off some of my builds and my designs to family members and friends, and they're like, you gotta share this. This is worth sharing. And so I decided maybe I do have something to add. Maybe there is something that I can say, and maybe I can bring some joy to somebody else's life, or inspire somebody else to make something better than I did. Because it's all about inspiration. I know a lot of my projects, I gained inspiration from watching others. But this is our cafe area. This was originally my storage area for Pallet Town, and this first area here where the fireplace is was my original furnace area. Proof that as I unlock things and grow, things are constantly changing in my Pallet Town. So yeah, my goals for the channel, I'd like to get participation. Maybe get people helping me decide what games to play, what they'd like to see me play from my games library. I'd be more than happy to play Stardew Valley, Pokemon, or Pokopia. I do love the shiny hunt. That is my passion for Pokemon, much more so than any battling. I love shiny hunting. I have been an avid shiny hunter since Gen 4, and with my first random encounter shiny being in Gen 3. I had the Gen 2 shiny Gyarados, but that was storyline, and I don't count that as my first true shiny encounter. My first one was playing through Gen 3. I found a shiny Medicham. So this was kind of like the garden area. I thought with the cafe, I would do a kind of like farm-to-table idea with this cafe. They've got a farm for all of the vegetables that they need for cooking. They've got the berry orchard here. And then they had nice outdoor areas. So that way, if there wasn't quite enough room in the cafe, at least you could wait someplace nice. I plan on doing a bigger orchard at some point in my game. Very nice grog. You know, I think Spearow is kind of underrated as a shiny. The early bird types being Pidgey and Spearow, I feel like they didn't get as much shiny love. And I feel like Gen 1, there were certain Pokemon that kind of got left behind for shinies. And I'm here for a golden bird. Because, like, I love Skarmory. I love Mega Skarmory's new color scheme, too. It's a sad that they didn't give it a slightly better ability. But I do see kind of where they were going with the idea for the ability for Mega Skarmory. So around each of these trees, I did little 9x9 or 8 plots of flowers of the color of the berry. when I make this orchard bigger, I think I want to do a bigger plot of each flower variety around it, even if I have to 3D print flowers to get it done. But yeah, shiny hunting is one of my favorite pastimes. Stardew Valley, I started off playing cozy games with Harvest Moon 64. I played on the Game Boy Advance and 3DS and GameCube. So, real quick though, this is my museum build, and this was my initial big building build. I have to admit, I am pleased with how it turned out so early in my building process with this game. I do plan on completely redoing this museum in a different location, bigger and better, with less electricity. Because I am, again, running low on electric items, and this will eventually be converted to a luxury hotel type setup. So as I've been getting the small lost relics, I've been spreading them across the screen here, as you can see on the picture frames. I still haven't gotten all the small lost relics yet. We've got our dinos, which when I originally set out the building, I didn't know how big certain skeletons would be and how much space to allot. So, like I said, not completely satisfied with this build. But I have great plans for the future for what this can become. I do like how the wires make Aerodactyl look like it's suspended. Every museum has to have a curator. So I did a curator's office, but more like a curator's napping area. And tossed Gimme Ghoul and Gengar in here, which surprisingly enough, because the ceiling lights are so high, the lighting, and there's no light in this actual room here, Gengar is at awesome for his comfort level, as is Gimme Ghoul, so I haven't moved him out of there. I wanted to include an elevator since I was including stairs. That was kind of one of my disappointment factors with the game, is that there isn't ramps. Because there are several Pokemon like Superior. You really want Superior to slink up those stairs? Like, having a nice ramp would be nice. But I did want to get a kind of like handicap accessible museum. And I also included a chair here because, let's be real, my mom is getting up there in age, as I am an elder millennial. And the elderly sometimes have trouble standing there waiting for an elevator, so I thought, hey, this would be a realistic addition that helps add a little touch of realism to my world. So I added a chair for people to sit on while they wait on the elevator. And then I put the gym badges coming up the stairs here. And this is going to be our space exhibit. And of course, where the elevator comes up. And our museum cafe. Another thing I wanted to put in here is a little science lab, because I always love it when museums have an area where they're actively working on scientific advancements in fields that the museum highlights. And so I wanted to do kind of a tribute to that factor in here. And then we did a cute little cafe area. For a while, this was my home for Chef Dente. It has since changed, and I do have Pokemon that will come up here and set up their shop. I have little shop opportunities all around my pallet town for any of the Pokemon with trade. So, but yeah, I would like to play games with you all and like have fun, and I'm open to trying games or trying different playthrough styles on games, depending on how people want to engage with that. I know, like I said, there's a bunch of fun titles coming out for Switch 2. You've got Elden Ring Tarnished Edition, Winds and Waves. There's rumors of new Zelda games coming out. So this is my little kind of quick stop cafe. I wanted to do something next to my museum that kind of had like that kind of touristy vibe. We ended up doing a picnic area up here. for like guests who didn't want to spend the money at the cafe, because that was always one of the things that I thought was nice around some of the museums that I went to in my life, that they did have little picnic areas for people to go to and eat, where you didn't have to feel so alone for bringing your own food to a museum. So right here, I kind of set this up as a berry shop. It's not a whole lot to it for the interior decorations. I did not expect to find Onrakudo in here. This is not her home. And then we've got a flower shop here. And of course the Pokemon set up for trading here. And a cute little bedroom here. And then I decided to put a flower garden behind the flower shop. I wish it was a little easier to get color variety on flowers in the game. But I make do with what I can find in the shop, 3D printing, and from my other friends who play the game. When they have bushes and flowers in their shop, they are kind enough to let me come to their worlds and let me buy them. So the next area I am going to take you to, this area over here, sadly, is largely undeveloped still. This is where I kind of plan to put my orchard and my new museum build down the road, and depending on if people have a build they'd like to see me try out, I'd love to toss that out there too. But the next area that I'm going to take us to is my volcano build. For Pallet Town, I decided I wanted to build something different. So I leveled one island and built it back up as a giant volcano. And I wanted it to be my fire-type Pokemon habitat, but I also wanted it to have a little bit of fun with it. So first off, I'm going to kind of take you on the ground level with the habitat. So I've kind of been working on this room a little bit. So we've got my new forge area. They are really good about getting stuff for me when I put it in there. And then we have a little fire-type home. This has got Entei... Oh no. Connectivity issues. I apologize. We'll get that figured out and figure out how to get that adjusted here. We'll fine-tune that, so I apologize, people. But this fire-type Pokemon home was decorated by my son, who is in middle school. He chose the decorations that went into this room, but all the Pokemon are super happy with it, so he did a good job. This will lead up to the summit. And then that is the direction for another lift that will head to the third island. And so now I will take you on part of the attraction of what I wanted for this build. I love themed roller coasters. Growing up, I went on vacation to Disney World and I fell in love with Big Thunder Mountain and Space Mountain. So I decided I need my own roller coaster. Now this roller coaster does have some pit stops along the way. And I will take a moment to show you those as part of the build. And then we've got our lava waterfall here. Now I was going the basic speed. I'm not playing with the speed of the track at the moment, so I apologize. But that is timed, so that way it turns off and it's motion censored. And I will show you all the kind of the structure interior later. But we're here back at our Fire Park Pokemon type home. Always gotta see what's up with the Pokemon. So many times I've gotten the flowers I needed because of that. They always have good resources. So we'll get back on our roller coaster here. And we'll take it to the next area, which is one of Score Bunny and Drifloon's favorite area. And they will come here via minecart, which is the only way you can access this, all the time. And this is my little volcano hot springs. One of my favorite things about Pokopia is some of the small little details that they didn't have to put that they put. The moss here with the footprints that show, I love it. Absolutely love it. But the Pokemon do actually come down here to relax. This is my first time seeing Magby here, so proof that they will come and to your hot springs, even if it's only connected by a minecart. This was one of my wife's favorite parts of this build. So I'm going to head on up towards the next section of the build. And we're just kind of letting it do its thing. Gravity will speed up the track at certain points, so I don't want to go too fast. I wanted to get the feel that this mining tunnel was being carved out, then they kind of ran into some lava issues and kind of backtracked a little bit. So here we are at the summit. I will take a moment to show you what I've got up here, and I wanted to do a kind of a castle in the sky kind of effect here. This is Ditto's home, as well as a few others. I keep Drifloon up here with my dolls, so that way I can easily get to Dream Islands. Plus, having this be so up high, anytime I need to go anywhere in Pallet Town, all I have to do is jump off and glide to where I need to go next. Always have that room. And then we'll go inside here. And pick up some litter that Volcarona left behind here. But yeah, depending on what games people would like to see me play, I'm open to suggestions. Obviously, I have my game library, and with certain games, I'd be willing to pick them up to give it a shot and play on stream. The shiny hunting is definitely something I plan on doing at some point on the stream. Showing off the Stardew Valley farm. I've got several farm layouts that I've worked on in the years. I actually probably have more hours of gameplay in Stardew Valley than I do Pokemon games combined. However, thanks to Pokopia, I do believe that the number is getting closer. Since this game has been came out, I have been almost non-stop. The game was worked on by some of the developers that worked on Dragon Quest Builders 2, which is another series very similar that I played. I played the first one, I own the second one, but never got around to playing it. So this is our mine, going back into our mines here. And that's a stop off so you can take the lift to the third island, and another one to get you a little closer to where our Pokemon are. And then this last area is definitely where they ran into the issue of running into magma. And with that, we are back at the beginning of the ride. But that was my volcano build. I wanted to do something big and be a statement piece. I will take you on up, and we're going to Magnemite from here. Oh, well, hope I remember to put on Magnemite. It took a lot of time to swap out all the black rock and place all the ash that I've got here on this volcano. And even though it's kind of details that not many people will ever see, I wanted to put like blowout sections where the lava's spilling out to help kind of add that kind of... Things were kind of at risk, but thanks to the blowouts and the way the lava's flowing, everything's going to be alright. But this was my massive volcano build to help hide my roller coaster. And I will now kind of hold up my end of the bargain and show you a little bit about how the lava waterfall works. Get to a nice entry point here to enter into the inner workings, because I did try to hide that a little bit here. Alrighty, so this is the interior of the volcano. Eventually, because of the power restrictions, I am going to go through here and get rid of all these power boxes. There is a new item coming out as part of the Sableye event that won't use electricity, that will work well as in place of the lanterns. So furnaces and power structures in here. But this is the magic of the waterfall. It is controlled by this door system and motion sensor system, with one lead of the chain going this way and turning out right around where the fire Pokemon habitat is. And then this pathway, I'll go ahead and turn into Magnemite mode, since it's pretty easy to follow. Takes me to the lower section, where I've got that power option there. And if we come through here, it's a little service area to access the volcano. I appreciate it. I've worked quite a bit on this. I know there are a lot of more sophisticated builds out there, but we're working on it. Every build that I've done here, I've tried to incorporate something new, try something a little bit different. So, always growing. So like I said, this island has yet to be developed at all, but I did need to use it for kind of connective to different sections of the volcano island, since I decided to develop that first. Make our lift here. So the next building I'm about to show you is a little trader hall. It's kind of based off of the flea market halls that you would see some places around the U.S. Big buildings where everybody puts in a little lot, and it's like a giant yard sale all the time. I started off with a little outdoor sale area here. Got the registers. Oh, Ghastly's set up today. And this is the only area that I have electricity in this region, except for the house that's over there. Most of these other items are not connected to the power grid. However, they do still count towards the electrical item limit. So if I want to build more, I will need to pack up every single electrical item here and then place my new electrical items so they get power, because if I place my new ones now, they will not receive power because these are already in the world. So my next build is a little beach hut area here. I wanted a cute little, like, vacation beach huts. I apologize there. That people could come to, and I experimented with different looks to try to do the roofing and kind of fit where I could get a nice comfort value for Pokemon in here. Haven't started moving Pokemon in quite yet, because I thought maybe people could help me pick out who goes where. There's 300 Pokemon in this game, and if you've got a suggestion, you see a building that, and you're like, man, I know what Pokemon needs to live there, I'd love for you to tell me. Let me know, and we will get them moved in there. I have unlocked every Pokemon that can be moved in so far. I do not date skip, so I don't have any date Pokemon that are available only through date skipping for events. And these are just kind of little mirrors of each other. I did a little grass on the roof to try to make it look nice. Give it a little more depth than just square blocks. And then the next build I've got is my haunted mansion. Oop, Dusclops is chilling over there. We'll get there. We'll get there. So this is my haunted mansion with a wraparound porch. I'm not going to take you the full length of the porch quite yet, but we're going to go on in here. So right out of the gate, I love incorporating skylights into my build. I thought I was going to do a kind of Thrown to Ruins haunted mansion when I first built this, or started to build this, and then I was like, okay, I got to make it nice, and then I've got to make it not so nice. Look like it's been aged, look like it's been destroyed. And I was like, you know what? Why does a haunted mansion have to be destroyed? Why can't the ghosts have a nice time and live in comfort? And I added Mewtwo and Umbreon in here, and they like it pretty well. Mewtwo's still undecided, but this is the master bedroom of the mansion. My original plan was to move Gengar in here, but I haven't made it there yet. And then we had a little hot springs water in here. Create a jacuzzi kind of bathroom situation for the master bath. Then we're going to go down, and I really like the effect that the fossil heads add to the wall. It kind of gives it that almost like old hunting lodge kind of vibe, which is something that I grew up knowing, living near rural areas and national parks and whatnot, and being around people who did hunting. So this is the Chandelure and Cerule Edge room. We put a little spell room back here for them. Originally, I had a bathroom here, but can you believe it? Ghost fire types do not like the humidity of a bathroom. So I was like, okay, what can I do here with this little space? And I'm glad you like the floating candles. Each thing that you see that's floating, I had to place blocks and then delete the blocks to get them to float. And not all items will cooperate nicely with that, but a lot of them were able to. And this is our red room. Each room in the mansion is themed to a different color. And then I'm trying to think, let's go downstairs. We're going to go downstairs, and then we're going to check out this room next. So this is the library. Growing up, Beauty and the Beast was up there in my movies that I enjoyed as a kid. I was much more of a Sleeping Beauty fan. I love Maleficent's dragon form. I thought that was one of the coolest things. But I wanted to do like a nice little library here. We got a fuzzy rug here so you can lay in front of the fireplace underneath the Tyrantum skeleton. The ghosts have all these books floating around from where they didn't put away their stuff. And then we'll come up the ladder and even more books and skylights. So that's my library build for this mansion. That was something I wanted to add. I thought the idea of having a bunch of floating books around and whatnot with a multi-story library just would be a really cool effect. So now we kind of move down here. And then we move into the dining room, which the ghosts have kind of given their own little flair. And we got some food here for them. Which, strangely enough, as I discovered when I put a liquid item on here, I want to say a tea set originally, and Litwick was just not having it. Said it was too humid thanks to that tea set. And I'm like, I've gotten rid of all the tea sets, and that's when I realized, oh, this room was affecting them. And then we have the mansion kitchen. Which, again, I don't really have electricity run to this. Now, there is another room in the mansion here. And another special hidden surprise. So here we are with the mansion study. I'll just go ahead and leave that door open. I wanted to set up a nice study and office. And the idea was this bookshelf, if I can do it, slides in and out of place. Unfortunately, it does not slide out in and out of place in spectator mode. So when I was showing off one of my friends, I had to take it off spectator mode. Put it on spectator mode and put it out of place. And this was kind of meant as a, like, furnished room that's not being used. Storage and Team Rocket. What does Team Rocket do here? Huh. Well, let's get on the elevator. We have arrived at the Team Rocket break room. Because every corporation needs a break room. And look, they had OSHA in mind. They have a first aid kit. Let's go ahead and open this door, and we have our clean room. And then we open this door, and our entry point. This would be a security checkpoint. And button to open the door. We've got our administrator's desk and a laptop that's still on. As if somebody has been here recently. And this is my kind of abandoned lab, which unfortunately every single electronic piece down here towards my electrical limit, so I tried to create like a submerged tank, like there's something in there growing. You always need plenty of whiteboards in a lab. You never know when you're going to need to work on something, and don't want to erase the one you've already been working on. We kind of tucked a furnace even there, even though there is nothing actively powered in this building. Again, because of electrical limits, I started trying to save it for my museum build. And then I discovered, hey, placing them without power still counts towards the limits. So heads up if you're doing a big build on your own. Alrighty, so we're going to head back out of the mansion, and I'm going to take you out the front door rather than the back. The back door is very nice for the view of the next building that I want to show you. I'd much rather show you the pathway to the building as well. So the next building I'm going to show off is my wife's favorite building that I've done so far. Or at least it was until my most recent building, which may be taking its place. So for this walkway, I just put up some bridge planks and then some enclosures and put plant life on top. But this is my greenhouse build with shed and gardener's cottage. And here's the back porch with the exit through the kitchen. Again, like I said, nice little view of the building. But I wanted to give you the walkway over here. So we'll kind of do a little bit of an exterior kind of view. I kind of put some bushes on there. And we'll go in here first. I figure as I'm getting different plants and kind of rotate some of the ones that are repeated here, I wanted to get a good variety in. I've played with the idea of doing a U-shaped design and then doing open air corners, which oddly enough I keep having sparkle zones pop up right here and right here, even though there are only 2 spots in this room that are available for sparkling water. But yeah, a little bit of hanging baskets and floral arrangements. And then we kind of move into our veggie section, which I'm using the water to hydrate here. Little flower cushion. And then I did more vegetables. There's 4 of each type here. We got our Chansey here. And again, where I was trying not to use electricity. I switched over to using mushroom light. But I was tired of all the same square greenhouses that I kept seeing online. And I wanted to do something a little bit different than just a square greenhouse. I know it's more practical, and I should probably convert these doors to being full enclosure doors instead of just partial for my gardener shed. And then we go up. We have the apartment, which, surprisingly enough, every single Pokemon loves this apartment. And then it leads to a little quiet overlook you see here. And then a little sunroom, which there have been times that I have plugged into the game and I was talking with the wife and it started raining and I happened to just be sitting in this room, and it kind of reminds me of like that sunroom vibe when you're chilling on the back porch on a rainy day and just kind of relax and chill. We're listening to the Pokemon music for the game because the soundtrack's really not bad with this game. And she's like, this is one of my favorite parts of this build. I would love to have a little room like this. You can kind of look out and see the greenhouse below you, look off into the ocean. The rain doesn't bother you. But that was the sunroom idea. And I thought, well, we've got a sunroom. This patio is kind of a tiny little patio. What if we gave it a true patio? So I went with a rooftop patio. Which I've discovered Pokemon can't use ladders, but thankfully every Pokemon that lives in the apartment below it can fly. And this is my little rooftop patio. Put a little unit there to kind of give it a touch of realism for the temperature control, and you can see the back of the mansion here. And then over here to the left is my graveyard, because what Haunted Mansion doesn't have graveyard? But let me give you a aerial view of the greenhouse, because like I said, this is something I wanted a little bit different than a square building. I wanted something with slightly more character, a little bit of a unique shape, and in my thinking, I was like, I'm going to make a U, because a U is different than a square, except when you connect it. So, it almost ended up looking like a square, but I still think having that kind of U-shaped look and appeal came through. And it's easy to get a good overhead of the cemetery here. And I put some leaf dents here. I know it counts against my prefab home limit, and there's no Pokemon in it. But I was kind of hoping it would give the kind of burial mound vibe. For the archway, since there's not like an archway cover, those are just the same iron gates, raised a little bit higher. And then I built a fountain here. And one of the things I happened to notice the other day, I was showing off the build to my wife, and I was like, yep, and I wanted to put a couple of matching Chansey topiaries here, and wait a minute, they're not matching, it's a Ditto! Which just tickled me, that because I knew with the Pikachu fountain, if you build that, you can end up with a Ditto face on the Pikachu fountain. I hadn't had that happen to me yet. Now, I have to admit, being a long-time Ocarina of Time fan, it was really hard not to recreate the cemetery from Kakariko Village. Or Kakariko Village, sorry. But you could definitely tell there was some inspiration here. And this is my mausoleum. Inside here, you got somebody who's been taking care of plants. So behind each of these stained glass windows, I wanted to have the implication that it was a tomb. So there are intended to be bodies behind the stained glasses. Now, in actuality, there's a lit candle behind every single piece of stained glass here. And because it's underground and below ground zero, the Pokemon really want to fly above the build to try to light them. So I ended up having to basically place a Magby statue and trigger its flame powers with every window to get everything lit. And then I wanted to kind of end in like a grave shrine for like maybe the oldest of the line that was buried here, the original creators of the tomb. And I thought, using the Armor Rouge and the Cerule Edge armors kind of gave it that they might have been brothers that were in the armed forces for Kalos or something and fell in the Great War kind of thing. Especially since, we don't know that much about that time period. Pokemon hasn't quite explored that timeline yet, which is one of the things I love about Arceus, is they were willing to explore the timeline. So that was my cemetery build. The next area I have for you was kind of meant to be my Oasis Lounge and resort area. Again, where I was running low on electricity, I explored alternative options. I have used Sunny Day to keep things nice and lit for us tonight. But the rain will put out these torches, and the fire Pokemon do kind of come around and turn them back on every once in a while. But I wanted to do a cozy little beach vibe, like a little resort. And then the final build that I'm really showing off at the moment, and this is my beach condo build. I recently built this. This kind of shows you how my building style has changed a little bit as I progressed through, because I started off in the very beginning using a lot of prefabs and using structures, trying to be a little bit creative and learning the capabilities of what the game is capable of. Skylights, again, love them. Wanted to do a little reading area as part of this luxury condo. Come in here. You've got like a high tea area, and then you've got like a beach, an ocean view dining area. We've got the wraparound porch to give you that ocean view. This next room is a bedroom. I want it to look cozy. I want it to look nice. Put a desk in there for people to work at. And then its own private balcony with privacy dividers. You might think this is a master bedroom worthy thing to have its own private patio and whatnot, but I assure you, this is not the master bedroom. This is the secondary bedroom. There's one other bedroom to this build, and I will take you down to it. And this is the build that might be in competition for my wife's favorite build now. My daughter definitely wants to go vacation here if we can find someplace similar. I wanted to do a cozy little room here with glass windows and a little hot springs area, complete with water wheel, little driftwood and whatnot. And one of the things I was hoping to improve here soon, and maybe start on that tonight, is the view. Because right now, my beach floor is looking a little barren. Or my ocean floor, rather. So I was thinking maybe we could put some plant life down here. make that view pop a little bit more. We'll use the mushroom lights to give it a little bit more glow. I was pleased to see that they were able to be balanced on top of the wooden posts. That was an unexpected bonus. Now I'll take you on up, and I will give you the aerial and kind of wraparound view here. Of my little beach condo. And as I said, this island is undeveloped, and I plan on developing it. Like, I want to put the museum up. I was thinking moving the orchard over here. But I would love to have any kind of channel support and any suggestions or things you would like to see. Let me know so I can work with everybody and make something that a little more fun. But yeah, this is my pallet town. Oh, well that's close. I might as well go ahead and get that. I hope you enjoyed my builds. It's been a pleasure showing them off. At this point, I guess it will switch over to maybe doing a little bit of building here. In order for me to decorate this beach or the ocean floor here, I am going to have to submerge Magnemite a little bit to be able to place stuff, but I was thinking what I could place here to make it look nice. I was thinking maybe some of these tall grasses and the ferns might do well. Maybe if we sink a couple of trees, it might look like ocean plant life, some rocks. I wish there was something that would provide us with coral. I do have plenty of seashells that can be placed. And the seaweed item as well as driftwood and stones. But there really aren't, like, coral items, which is surprising since we do have a coral Pokemon. Now, admittedly, the whole point of Corsola for the Galarian Cursula is that the coral had died, and I don't know if they're saying that part of the apocalyptic events that led to the world of Pokopia, if that's what caused the coral to vanish. They said environmental changes, so that is something that could be affected. We can lose our coral reefs because of human interference, so it makes perfect sense as to why there wouldn't be any coral. But I'm hoping they maybe add some in an event, and I'd love to see them do some updates. I would love to see a DLC of Pokopia. One of the things I feel like this game could add more of is more Pokemon and more zones. The idea that it could be expanded on is there. Yeah, I definitely want to put the seaweed down there. Again, this is placeable versus the... I only get so long underneath the water before Magnemite's like, I give up! Or Magnemite mode's like, I give up. Sort the inventory. That might help. And then we're getting low on energy. Definitely want to put some, like, boulders. I think right around this front area. Because I should kind of peek through. Why are you drowning slower that time? Huh. Definitely want to place some shells around. But I wish they had just a little more, like, plant life for the water. Things that would make it make a little more sense. I know we've got sea glass, we've got shells, which, I mean, shells, seaweed, and sea glass is nice and all, and we use a lot of that stuff when crafting. And the fact that Magma Rise mode can pick those up, I think, is nice for adding a little bit of decorations to stuff. But I feel like maybe just a couple of coral options or something. Maybe make it look a little more believable. Maybe some, like, actual seaweed plants that are vertical, because, like, I can use these ferns, and I wanted to kind of recreate that seaweed-esque look, because they do have that kind of rising root system. But I definitely want to get a view that makes it worthy of being a beachfront condo. Like, I feel like we can get away with putting wood down here. I don't want to put too much, because, like, as wood ages, it does tend to, like, it's driftwood. It gets light and hollow and drifts up. But at the same time, if it gets covered in muck, maybe, you know, it'll sink, and ocean critters build their home there. Of course, we can also put a little bit of the tall grass here. I think using some of the colored grass would be a good idea, like the reds and the yellows as well. Especially since the seaweed item in-game has both, like, that yellowish... Let's see here. Yeah. Place one up here. With it having that red and yellow and green, I feel like placing the tall grass under the water to add a little bit more color splotches here and there might be useful. I'm sure I didn't leave... Yep, no, I didn't leave the door open. And I'm still assigning Pokemon to homes. Like, I built this, I haven't assigned anyone to it. Technically, the room upstairs is the only house for this build. I do have the open air bath habitat here, but where I haven't put a doorway and it's not fully enclosed, it does not count as a that's not too bad for a start. Making it look like a believable seafloor. Yeah, I think definitely sinking that palm tree may be a little much. Maybe sinking another level to decrease it. I like the boulder placement there, where you can clip a little bit of the boulder, but not every bit of it. A lot of this building was made out of white rocks, so having rocks around is not a thing. It's implied that I slightly carved it out of maybe like a seaside cliff or something. But yeah, that's what I've got going on so far with my Pokopia. Again, I'd love to have people give me their input on what they'd like to see in my channel. I'm open to various ideas. If people are interested in it, I am willing to do a playthrough of Elden Ring Tarnished Edition when it comes out. I know it's not technically a cozy game. However, I do have it on PS5, and I have put a good amount of time into the system, so I would enjoy doing a playthrough. Maybe do something creative, like you all get to pick what weapon in my inventory I'm using to for that stream, or and then see what we can do with that. Maybe do a Stardew Valley farm playthrough where I can show off some of my maps from Stardew Valley and make a brand new map to show everyone. Again, this is on the Switch too, so there is no mods on my Stardew Valley, and I do have Stardew Valley for the PC. I have mods for it. I would be willing to consider doing a modded playthrough. I do like doing content for Stardew Valley as the non-modded, simply because that's a little more accessible to everyone. If they see something that they like in my game and you want to duplicate it yourself, it's a lot easier to do so if I don't have a whole bunch of mods kind of being like, well, it doesn't give the right vibe. I really need to get this mod for it to look this way. But I'm definitely open to ideas. I definitely intend on doing some shiny hunting. Several of my streams have already been booked, so I'm doing Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Fridays, starting today. I am open. I'm doing them 11 p.m. the same time slot for at least an hour. Um, if you would like to stick around longer and things are going well and everybody's having a good time, I'm open to running longer streams. I'm open to playing around with the time slots and when people can show up, and would love to have everybody's input. Please reach out and let me know how you like everything. Like and subscribe. You've got my contact information and on the screen now. And I will be getting my YouTube channel up and running soon. I will include like little walkthroughs of some of my builds. If you all would be interested in me doing some kind of like building tutorials, like if you want me to show you exactly how I built certain things like this condo or the greenhouse, um, let me know. I'd be more than happy to consider doing uh, some new builds and showing off stuff and showing you how I did things in the world. Um, but thank you for joining for my stream. I hope you have had a wonderful and pleasant evening. And I hope to see you again soon. We'll be back here on Tuesday. Thank you for watching. I'm Will, the Nerdy Nerf Herder.